considering Kansas City really like true lack of weapons and I guess the expectations of Kansas City this year, do you think this magnitude of a contract was necessarily wise with where they're at right now offensively in the season?
Absolutely. Patrick Mahomes is the kind of players that you don't, the amount of money that you're giving him, because he's one of those players you can go to, and it's like if you need him to take a big time free agent, he has no thing with Travis Kelsey, Patrick. And back when they gave him the big mega deal years ago, that came out and said that, like, of course, he's eventually going to end up paid quarterback forever, with the way that the quarterback market
Right.
works. It's just that
Right.
whenever Patrick Mahomes said, I want to become the highest paid, let's go ahead and do this. Of course, Kansas City was
Yeah.
going to do it. Anytime Mahomes a pay cut, he's going to do it. So with Patrick Mahomes, he's the kind of player that you don't really have to worry about him, the kind of contract and all the money that he's given. Unlike Deshaun Watson, you can trust Patrick Mahomes. It's up in the
Yeah.
big moments of the games when it matters. Even against the Detroit
Of
Lions,
course.
I picked Kansas. I wasn't shocked that Detroit won, but I said just because Kansas City is without Chris Jones and trap off to count out Patrick Mahomes, they still got a pretty decent
Of
offensive
course.
line. Not the offensive
Of course.
line was garbage, I would have tuned, but you can never count out Patrick Mahomes. I counted him out before years
Right.
ago, and I greatly to continue to not count him out again.
Yeah, 100%. You said it very well. You can never count him out. It's like when we've bet on Tom Brady in the past, you're always safe, usually safe to bet on Patrick Mahomes, bet on Big Red, bet on that offensive output of the Kansas City Chiefs. And basically, when you look at it here with the Chiefs, they moved up his money to really compensate. Of course, the NFL's best player right now. We know 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, the MVPs that he's got under his belt as well. We know he signed the 10-year, $450 million deal, obviously back in, I believe, 2020 it was, really before he got on the pedestal and obviously on the trajectory that we saw. The only reason I really asked the question of the contract being wise is we saw when Travis Kelsey wasn't there, and yes, I understand it was week 1, but the Rashee Rices of the world and the Kadarius Tonys who did bounce back in week 2, talking about Kadarius Toney. Obviously, you've got Sky Moore, who also had a bounce back game as well. But I feel like we're now going to be looking at the Kansas City Chiefs possibly as how much can they continue to have it just be the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes show? Of course, now it's mainly Travis Kelsey with Tyreek Hill out of the building, Mecole Hardman out of the building. But we see these NFL teams get comfortable, right? Like we saw the Bills be very Josh Allen dependent. Yeah, go ahead.
You see what the Rams are doing right now with Puka Nacua?
Uh-huh.
You want to know why they're
Yeah.
able to do that despite not having the most talented roster, having Cooper Kupp out, and Matthew Stafford are the key call. A great head coach. Everybody else, they kind of can be plug and play. You see, Patriots way, I don't truly the Patriots way. I think the Patriots way was Tom
Right.
Brady. You see,
Right.
consistent about was Tom Brady. Everything else changed. Nothing
Yep.
else stayed the same.
Everything else flowed.
So
Yep.
with Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls with dudes like Chris Hogan. You know where that fool Chris Hogan is at, right? He's playing professional lacrosse. So when you
There
look
you
at
go.
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as and Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, it doesn't really matter who they
Oh,
have
yeah.
at receiver and tight end. Now, they be able to win a year being, having a lack of weapons? Maybe not every single
Right.
season.
And that's the expectations I talk
You do
about there.
have to have, you do have to have, a good enough team to be able to compete with, some of the other tyrants. But as long as you got Mahomes
Right.
and Andy Reid and you got a decent enough supporting cast around them in a good offensive line, the year where Kansas City shouldn't be viewed as a contender, you can trust Patrick Mahomes because
Yeah.
he's all big moments more times than not, and he's mature. He doesn't get into
Yeah.
anything off the field that's problem.
Right.
I don't really
Yep.
think anybody should be worried about Mahomes in this contract. I trust my 5
Yeah.
quarterback of all time pretty much. So it's like,
Yep.
hey, he's good to be a model citizen and, actually being
Right.
able to be dependable.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I second everything that you said there. Of course, Mahomes, he's one of the best, right? We can always trust him. So it's kind of like, does he really have a price tag? We see Shannon Sharp on Nightcap with Uncle Nojo talking about Mahomes is still underpaid at 210.6 million guaranteed over a 4-year span. It's not even so much as like being worried with his money because we know he's worth it. Open the segment saying, of course, he's really like the only player. I said it back in 2020 when he signed a decade, damn near $500 million deal, 45 million a year. He was the only quarterback that deserved that because of what he did fresh off the 50 touchdown, I think 5,000-yard season, or just a year or two after that. Of course, he won the
You want to know
MVP that year.
something?
I think wins the Super Bowl the next year. Yeah, go ahead.
If Mahomes wasn't, I'd be like, man, Deshaun's getting 230 million fully guaranteed. I need that.
Let me get that 300.
You feel me? But it's like he's
Yep.
getting 210 million, and Joe Burrow, I think he got way more
Yeah.
guaranteed, I believe. So it's like, even though he's
Yeah.
still the highest paid, he's still kind of like in certain regards when it comes to true guarantees,
Right.
but it doesn't matter because he's
Right.
like, man, fuck that. With me winning championships, I'm gonna get all that back in advertisement,
Yep.
sponsors, and whatnot. So at the end of the day, it's like when you win, every the money still gets to you. It doesn't have to always be because
Right.
you just gotta get it all from the NFL team and sacrifice. You look at Justin Herbert, like people kind of
Yep.
don't realize how good he truly is because he's Patrick Mahomes, and this is why we have
Right.
these Tua versus
Overshadowed.
Justin Herbert arguments every single week because it's like we know Justin
Yep.
Herbert's more talented, but he's getting all this money, he's not
Right.
winning. He has a bad head coach, and it's
Yep.
like Justin
That
Herbert
coach
would
on the
never
hot
get
seat.
that. Exactly. So with Patrick Mahomes,
Yep.
him being able to still find a way to take less to help out Kansas City is going to allow Kansas City to the force that they have been for half the last decade.
Yeah, see, and that last point you made there is exactly what I'm kind of like leaning into here is we've seen teams be Aaron Rodgers dependent in the past. We've seen teams like outside of the Saints not having a wide receiver one in Drew Brees' later years kind of being Drew Brees dependent. We've seen Josh Allen. We've even had some of the instances of being Patrick Mahomes dependent. We know he can spread the ball around. He's already got both games this year, 11 different completions to 11 different receivers. But that's where I start to wonder